Welcome to Chapter 3, Lesson 3 on Suffrage. This is familiar. It should be familiar from last year.
If you were paying attention.
Maybe you weren't.
But if you came from Wisconsin, you might not have had it last year. So
welcome.
This is for all the Wisconsin kids.
Welcome to Virginia. We're kind of like Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So suffrage, what is it first? Suffrage, it sounds like a bad thing. Like suffrage. Suffrage. Suffering. Sounds like suffering. It sounds like rage. Sounds angry. Suffrage is a good thing. Suffrage means the right to vote. So
get that in your head.
This guy's got suffrage. That guy's got suffrage.
We all got suffrage.
You guys, odds are, don't have suffrage unless your parents are watching, in which case those guys may have suffrage.
Unless they're from another continent and aren't.
In which case, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to our continent.
Yes.
We hope you enjoy our continent. The stuff that I want you to understand about what leads up to the suffrage movement and also has a different political outcome is the Temperance Movement. The Temperance Movement is the movement to abolish alcohol.
I have a temperance. I think I'll take a drink to feel better.
Alcohol makes you lose your temperance. Temperance just means like you're kind of balanced. You're in control. So the Temperance Movement is trying to get rid of alcohol. It's led by women. And so for many women, when they're trying to stop alcohol consumption and abuse was a problem. It's one of the few drinks that was safe to drink in the sense that like you wouldn't die necessarily of the drink itself. Alcohol was a problem in America. Women were the ones who were often the victims along with children. And so they were trying to stop the rapid consumption or they were trying to stop the overconsumption of alcohol, but they had no political power to do that. And so many of them thought, I want to stop alcohol, but I need the right to vote to do that. And so the temperance movement kind of folds into the suffrage movement. They have similar goals. So the temperance movement works in with the suffrage movement. The temperance movement will get their objective met first with the 18th Amendment. The picture there is it's a dude like Homer Simpson.
It's got a
little unibrow there, and the 8 there. So that's the 18th Amendment, what abolishes alcohol, and then after that, women's suffrage, 19th. So suffrage is the right to vote. Last year you learned about it as a thing that women were working towards because they were, and some states were granting suffrage out west. Mm-hmm. So many issues you may ask.
You may ask.
You may ask yourself.
Sounds like Fiddler on the Roof.
Huh?
You may ask. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you. I don't know. Batman. So women are voting out west, and a lot of issues happen first state by state. So, prohibition may happen state by state and then happens nationally. Suffrage happens state by state and then it happens nationally. You were learning about it last year as women like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton pushing for a constitutional amendment. They were hoping that the 15th Amendment, remember the 15th was like the...
Don't get this confused. This is going to be confusing.
Well, 15th was every man can vote, which does not please Susan B. Anthony, because that's not what she wanted.
Or women.
They were hoping the 15th Amendment would be that, but it was not. It was not. 15th was just all men. So anyway, the one that does eventually give right to vote, well, first...
They only had to wait 50 years.
In the meantime, before they get that amendment, the two big things they're pushing for, voting rights, a big one, but also education. Why would the suffrage movement be interested in education?
Because women really couldn't go to college the same way men could.
Okay. And some women actually, this might be mind-blowing, but some women actually did not want the right to vote.
No.
some of the biggest opponents of women's suffrage were women.
Women.
Kind of like coming up in our last chapter in the year, when we're talking about the Equal Rights Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment was often opposed by women.
Bertha Schlomensky. She hated it. She was a great-grandmother of my sister.
Bertha?
Yeah.
Schlomensky?
She hated the right to vote.
Okay. So that's Bertha for you. But what they found was when women are educated, they're more likely to support suffrage. And so by pushing for education, that was a good thing by itself. It improved the quality of life for women. But also by encouraging women to get education, they're also kind of opening up to understanding why suffrage is important.
And plus, men would be more likely to trust a woman who was educated when it came to politics.
There you go. Suffrage movement wants right to vote and education. The amendment they will eventually get is the 19th. They were hoping for something earlier than that, but
A nicer number.
19th is what they got. It was passed in 1920, but there's a little doodle there that we'd like you to draw, and that's the wave and the surfboard. Surf and rage, because suffrage sounds like you're surfing, and then the surfboard, the 1 and the 9, that's a little memory trick for you.
They weren't happy about not getting suffrage, so that's part of the rage. Yeah, the
Surf and rage.
the rage.
So they get the 19th Amendment passed, and it's Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. They're still working. The one that finally the women who were finally bringing it past the finish line, I guess. By the time the amendment passes, both Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were both, they had their heads cut off by the French Revolution.
You can see them in the American History Museum.
Yeah, it's gruesome.
They have hats on them.
Yeah, so they passed away before they could see suffrage come about for women. But women like Lucy Burns, Alice Paul, they're the ones who bring it home. Now, those two generations have different approaches. I would say that Alice Paul and Lucy Burns are probably more
modern,
agitating.
aggressive.
They're more controversial. They did a hunger strike,
Which I will never do.
and they were force-fed, and the imagery of a woman being force-fed in
those days.
a women's prison,
Yeah.
that seemed like a torture almost. That's part of the they want it that badly, they're willing to die of hunger.
Yeah.
So their methods were controversial, but this is also passed as a war measure during World War I, which we'll get to next chapter. So World War I, the idea is you can't say you're fighting for freedom and democracy if you're not allowing half your population to participate in democracy. And so it will help us in our fight against Germany and Austria-Hungary and Bulgaria and Turkey. It'll help in the war effort if we give women the right to vote, because it'll make us look more democratic. It's propaganda. But in reality, it was passed after the war was over, and so that wasn't really the reasoning. When the war is over, they still are moving to pass the law.
But they're pressing. They're pressing with that idea.
My suffrage thing. Look, I
I
voted.
live in Maryland. I won't vote here. They won't let me.
Progress, baby.
Progress.
You've come a long way, baby.